Hi, everyone. Welcome to this little mini session on aroma and emotions. I've got on the line with me a dear lady, Vanessa Jean Evans, who lives in Australia. One of the perks of me being on this hemisphere for the time being, I'm in New Zealand. She's in Australia, but I get to meet amazing people like her who just have such a heart for service and are just doing so much good in the world. I met she and her husband Paul. They actually have the first presidential diamond rank in the country of Australia, and I got to know them at the doTERRA Australia convention this year, and it's just such a joy. They're just beautiful people. They have a daughter named Ariel. And one of the things that struck me about Vanessa, and one of the reasons I asked her to collaborate with me on this mini session, is she just, to me, is a leader who really embodies the love part, and just comes across on stage. It just comes across in her persona, and many doTERRA leaders have remarked at how she just is like that all the time. She's the real deal. So Vanessa, thanks so much for being on with me so we could discuss this tonight.
Thanks, Cherie. It's great to be with you.
Don't you guys love her accent? Okay. So, yeah. And I think you'll agree with me that really where it's at in helping people to become whole is to look at them as a whole person. We're not just addressing, one aspect of their health, that we're just so much more than a walking body. We have a spirit, we have a mind. How's that impacted, seeing the whole person, how's that impacted what you do? And I might add that Vanessa is a trained psychologist that has been practicing aromatherapy for over 20 years. How has seeing the whole person impacted the way you work with people?
For me, I always come back to something really beautiful that my nonna always reminded me of, which was God made us in his image. And so every time she said that, it reminded me that if we're created in this image, this God spark, this amazing life force lies within us all. And no matter what we see in people, how we see them and how we reach them is going to impact how they relate in the world. So I always thought, well, if I just choose to see their God spark and I respond to that from my place of my heart and my God spark, then imagine how beautiful the world would be.
Wow, that's gorgeous. I love that. I totally agree. So
it's precious what our grandparents teach us, isn't it?
Oh, yes. To be honest with you, my grandfather was the most perfect human being I've ever known. And I miss him terribly. He had a huge impact on my life, as my other grandparents have, but especially him. So a healthy person, if we're going to define health, it's really, I believe what it boils down to is figuring out what it means to feel good and then doing it. So it's kind of a process of going within every moment and saying, okay, what does my body need right now? What does my spirit need right now? And how do I nurture that? So, Vanessa, you have this really beautiful way of looking at essential oils in your, with your experience and background about vibration. Can you talk a little bit about how that space of love opens the pathway to vibration with the oils?
Yeah, absolutely. So then I'll just take a step back and share something with you. When I actually held the doTERRA essential oils, what I was struck by was their vibration. And it felt to me like the most pristine and cleanest essential oil I'd ever touched. And then I lifted the lid and I smelt them and I closed my eyes and I went right into my heart space with them. And I felt like I was met when I journeyed with these oils. And that struck me as something pretty special, a very special gift. And I feel that when we allow ourselves to enter that space so deeply in our hearts, it's akin to that moment where we surrender and we put that prayer out to the universe, to God, you know what I mean? And we say, here I am, use me, what am I here for? And I feel with the oils we can say, here I am in all my rawness. I trust in you and I open myself to your gift. Journey to those parts of me that need to remember their own perfection, their own magnificence, because the essential oils have an intelligence of their own, and they go to that place where they need in the body, right? So that's the science of it. Energetically, as they do that, They massage us. They bring us back, lift us back into that light, which increases our vibration tenfold, hundredfold, 1,000-fold, and we are able to remember who we are. And as we do that, our vibration increases, and that ripples out to all of the people that we meet and we touch and we share these oils with. And our love vibrates through. It's like a song that goes from us to the oils, back to that person, and then back again, and it just keeps going round and round. And it's extraordinary. I've never seen anything like it.
That's so beautifully put. I feel like sometimes when we're in a class or we're just next to someone at the grocery store and we just open the bottle, there's a language that happens. Like you said, there's a flow and a vibration that we say a lot in doTERRA that the oils do the heavy lifting. The oils, we don't sell anything, right? We share because the oils do the work. And I want to add to what Vanessa's just shared and why about the intelligence of these oils. We all know they come from plants, and plants are not man-made. Plants are not engineered in a laboratory. And just to give you an idea of why the essential oils are so powerful is because of their concentration. And for instance, I have a slide here that it takes 45 lemons to get a small 15 ml bottle of a lemon oil. It takes 30 pounds of lavender flowers to extract 1 15 ml of lavender essential oil, and it takes 1,000 pounds of a Melissa plant to get a 5 ml bottle of Melissa oil. We are talking a lot of complexity, a lot of diversity. One of the reasons that oils are able to do so much is because of their chemical complexity, because of their very diverse chemical profiles. Without getting too scientific, I mean, you notice, Vanessa, in your work with aromatherapy over the years, that there's a chemistry, there's a very real chemistry that happens in the body when someone is exposed to essential oils. And we know that these limonene, these sesquiterpenes, these esters and aldehydes and whatnot, they're not man-made. They have a vibrancy. They have a potency. And because they are living plant material, they are alive. They are volatile. They have an essence to them that isn't always measurable with current scientific instruments. What, in talking about like smell, like the avenue of smell, and why do you think it's called aromatherapy? What is your understanding with that? How do you see that?
Yeah, for me, it's this beautiful journey. It's like that moment where we smell something. Because we've engaged our olfactory senses, nothing takes us faster down memory lane than our olfactory senses, right? So as we breathe that in, it's accessing that magnificent part of the brain, the limbic system, which is our emotional control center. And for me, I really love to work with creating aromatic anchors for people. So as we journey with the oils, and we lift ourselves with our olfactory senses, smelling these incredible miracles in a bottle, then we can actually tune into or feel, really notice how we're feeling and where the essential oil goes in our body. So, for instance, frankincense, lavender, and wild orange, it's a blend I've taught for over 20 years. It's one of those foolproof blends. When people smell it, I'll often say, just amuse me. Just take those 3 oils and just waft them under your nose. Close your eyes, take a deep breath. Notice how you feel when you smell it, and notice where these 3 oils journey in your body. And we do this in silence in the class, and you get different responses from the same 3 oils, of course, because they're going where they need. So some people say my head, others say my heart, some say, oh, my belly, I really feel it there. And as I watch them and see their body lift, literally rise with that, I can see the power of that gift, and I say to them, every time you smell those oils, if you choose, you can come back to this moment right now. So you said you felt calm and you felt your heart open. You can come back to that every time you smell those 3 oils.
That's really powerful imprinting that we can do in that limbic center of the brain, because like you said, we're recording everything, and smell is so much more complex than the other senses like sight and sound and touch even. It really is a powerful portal to the brain, to the soul even, that exacts a lot of immediate and lasting change in people. One of the things that's been powerful for me to learn about is how the essential oils are able to get into the cell. And when you talk about, okay, well, we can maybe see how that happens physically because they're so diverse and their molecules are so small and whatnot, and the cell membrane is permeable because it's oil-based to the essential oils, and the oils can get in and make an impact on the DNA of the cell. But how do you think that works on the emotional level? How do you see the oils impacting the cell to help to support healing of emotion?
Yeah, that's such a good question. For me, I liken it to a song. So each essential oil is literally a note, right? We've got top, middle, and base notes. When we combine them to create what we call synergistic combinations, these beautiful synergistic blends, they create a melody or a song, and that song weaves its way into the fabric of our being. It enters the bloodstream, the cells, down to the organs. And it feels like, for me, they're just coming in and nudging us awake, and they're talking to our body and saying, we've got this, remember. Remember how magnificent you are. We've got this. Together we're going to thrive. And as it works on the physical body, it's also working on the emotions, of course, because for me, I believe whatever manifests in the physical comes from that emotional plane. So emotionally, they start to lighten us, brighten us, yeah, because when we're carrying heavy emotions, it's dense, yeah. We end up feeling dense and we enter a really, really contracted state. So I feel like these oils come in and they just crack us wide open. And as they crack us open, because they're so unconditional, it's like coming back to what I was talking about, that God spark, so unconditional, it's that reminder of we actually deserve to reclaim in this moment our God-given right to be joyful, abundant, live a life that we choose, a life based on walking the pathways of love, journeying the path of our heart. You know, if you look at, just for me, I was reminded of this beautiful scripture, and it was based on that God wants us to be prosperous, right? Right. Now, prosperity, like abundance, covers everything. It's that emotional abundance and prosperity, emotion, joy, health, well-being, right? So if we come back to the simplicity of that statement, God wants for us to be prosperous, to claim our birthright to prosperity, to abundance, to joy. Imagine working with the oils to reclaim that, to create powerful affirmations with it, to pick up that bottle of passion, for instance, and come back into our unconditional heart as the oils in that blend open up our heart and have us dancing again, have us smiling again, having us connect and reach out with humanity again in a way that maybe we haven't in a long time because we've forgotten to say hello to our neighbor.
Absolutely. You know, I had somebody that I worked with very closely who was suffering with really low mood, and she said that what the oils did for her is it gave her a sense of awakening. Every time that she opened a bottle of essential oil, she felt like she was in the rain, you know, came out after a rainstorm and smelled the earth, or she felt like she was in a forest and she could smell the sap in the trees, or she felt like she was, you know, somewhere. So it's almost like, because we are so interconnected with nature, and because I think in this day and age with all this technology and all the dulling of the sensory pathways, we don't always connect to the beauty and simplicity of nature. And I believe God is the master chemist, and I'm sure you'll back me up on that because I know you're a very spiritual person, but these oils are a mystery. They hold mystery, and we have not discovered the breadth and depth of what's possible through their usage. And Vanessa, with this new emotional aromatherapy kit and the new wheel that we have that groups these blends into families of oils, the florals, the mints, etc. You know, you've only been in doTERRA for how long? How long ago were you first introduced to doTERRA's essential oils?
Just over 2 years. So it was 2 years in October.
Okay. And of course you've since been teaching this to thousands of people, since understanding the purity and potency of these therapeutic, certified therapeutic grade oils. So what was the difference? I mean, when you, especially with these new blends even, these new mood blends that have just been launched, and what was the difference that you noticed in the other oils that you were using for emotional benefit to people versus the doTERRA oils?
Oh, my goodness. You know, the thing that struck me was their purity how clean they were. So up until then, I thought I was working with very clean oils, and I realized very quickly that doTERRA has passed it all. One of the biggest things that struck me was their synergistic combinations. I think that they are absolutely brilliant. To be honest, I've never liked pre-blended oils at all. I just like blending my own. Mm-hmm. And when I started working with the doTERRA blend, just something as simple as Digestin and On Guard, home essentials kit type stuff, I was blown away. And then the mood management kit, I went, wow, here we go, genius. These are brilliant as well. But when the emotional aromatherapy kit came out, that was when I just felt this is God's grace bottled, literally. It feels like it was beyond anything any human could do, and they just became the channel for what Mother Earth wanted to bring through to give to humanity, to help deepen their connection with her, to hold respect and reverence for her again and the gifts she brings. And that to me is, it's God's grace.
That's beautiful. So on this wheel, we have, you and I both believe that we are spiritual beings having this human experience, right? So we're always going to, our spirit's always going to want to soar, and our body's going to want to be like, no, I don't want to deal with it. So we always have this variety of emotions that course through us at any given time. And one of the things that I love about the essential oils is they ground you to the present moment. When you smell an essential oil, those aromatic compounds travel up, and like you said, they hit that olfactory region of olfactory receptors, and then they go up to that limbic area, and it's an immediate call to action. And so there's this very real, beautiful, visceral response. And I've always liked, we talked about the tones, that there are different tones of the oils. And I think for me, as I look at the places on the earth where certain families of these oils are grown and how we source them from those regions where it's been indigenous to the people who have cultivated these plants for sometimes millennia. I think that it's beautiful that we've been able to harvest this and bring it into people's homes and give them the opportunity to self-nurture with them. You had I'm just going to read this quote that you have gifted that I loved. It is only when you invest in your own emotional wellness journey that you have the strength and capacity to help others to fulfill theirs. This is the power of emotional wellness. I love that. Yeah. So can you share a little bit? Can you share a little bit about this aromatic dressing? It seems to be all the rage in Australia, and I've been fascinated by it. I know that people watching this webinar, this is it's really hard to read, so I can share the PDF attachment if you're okay with that, Vanessa. Yeah, but can you talk about that and how it's helped people and what you basically just give us an overview of that and what you've seen in both ways? Sure.
So it's something I've taught for over 20 years, and I don't think it's ever quite taken the world by storm as it's been teaching since starting doTERRA. But, it's the essence of it is to anoint oneself lovingly with pure essential oils in a carrier oil and gently rub circular motions, working up the body up towards your heart, and gifting yourself the words of self-love. So loving your body, giving it beautiful love messages. So we all have our way of doing this. And, I go to the center saying to people, have a beautiful bowl for your aromatic dressing bowl, and your fractionated coconut oil ready, and your pure essential oils, and dip and rub and anoint yourself lovingly every day. And we do it morning and night after shower or bath. And it brings us back into that place of self-love, Cherie, because I feel that that's where, as humans, that's really our purpose, to love and to be loved, right? So we need to come back to the sacred place of loving ourselves so that we can freely and fully serve and love others.
That's so beautiful, and you've often said, and I think this nails the bottom line to the purpose of life, that love is all there is. And it sounds like a little bit airy-fairy and flowery and hippie, but it's really true.
Exactly. So many people come to my retreats and all the workshops and things I'm doing, and I said, you know what? We can spend thousands upon thousands of dollars doing a million things out there, personal development and retreats in Bali and Thailand and wherever you want to go, looking for your purpose and looking outside of yourself. By all means, if you want to do that, go for it. But I can give you a secret, a little key to unlock that, and it's very simple. You're here to love and to be loved. Love is all there is. Anything that doesn't come from love comes from fear. So what do you choose in this moment? And it's that moment of choosing love and to serve from that place that lifts our vibration, and the oils meet us in that space and they propel us forward. It's like they give us extra fuel to do this, amplify our light, our resonance, our vibration, and we become more of a magnet for that, and we send out more and more ripples of that.
That's such a beautiful visual. You know, it struck me as you were talking about that, how we have such a sacred stewardship with these oils. I think most of us who have had a degree of success in sharing them and teaching them, first of all, we're very passionate about it. But secondly, we are humbled. I guess that's a really good word to use here. We're humbled and in awe of the changes that we see happening with the resonance of these oils and how they're able to go in and address so many things. But the real reverence comes from, hey, we are not the creators of this. Like, we're just here as messengers. We're just here to gift this to as many people as we can, because we know that we know that of the power and the implications when people start using them. So I love that part of love, because we're always talking about heart-based sharing. One of my favorite sayings, and I don't know who this came from, but it basically encapsulates how I start my day, both as a mother and firstly as a daughter of God and as a woman, and then again with my family and my business and all the people in my sphere of influence. But it's basically, may I be a channel of blessing for someone today. May I be a channel of light and love for thy grace. And I know that
beautiful.
It's an act of surrender and not knowing all the answers, but just trying to be in a space where I can receive and give in a way that is integritous and lined up with my heart and my mind and my gut, what I like to call the three brains. I think, too, Vanessa, you and I are on the same page with, we want to have as much influence as we can with others to lead them to the knowledge of who they are. Can you close us out with just your thoughts on that, of bringing people back to remembrance of who they are?
I believe that as we shine in our magnificence and lead from our heart and live from our heart, then we remind others to do the same. We remind them of their magnificence and of their light, and that walking the path of the heart is a choice, and one that we actively choose every day.
Wow, that's perfect and beautiful to end with. Thank you, Vanessa, so much. I honor you and your gifts, and I know that you continue to have an impact in many others' lives.
Thank you so much, Cherie. It's been beautiful.